Hey, this is Jeff Justice from Jeff Justice Seminars with Court Reporters, and we are delighted that you have chosen us to get your CEUs with. We promise not to disappoint. Now, if you've taken programs from me in the past, a little different this time. Yes, you still print out the quiz sheets, mark your answers as you go. So it's kind of like an open book test. But once you finish all these seminars, take those quiz sheets and do not send them to me. I don't want them. Enter them into the final quiz at the end of the whole program. Follow the simple instructions to get your letter of completion for your state and or NCRA or any other national organization. Now, please be aware that we do record these programs in front of a live audience. So sometimes it can be a little difficult hearing what a particular participant is saying. Just rest assured that the questions we do ask on the quizzes all could come from areas that it's obvious what the person is saying. So get ready to laugh and learn with Jeff Justice Seminars for Court Reporters.
Thank you. We're ready.
All right, folks, do we have a treat for you? We are in the home stretch. Big round of applause for Kathy and Pam navigating the waters of subbing in court.
So, who are we?
I'm Kathy.
I'm Pam. Let's tell you a little bit about ourselves. So, I'm Pam. I've been reporting since '94. January of '94 is when I passed my state exam. Feels like it's been forever. I was a freelancer for 27 years, I think. And then I became an official in January of 2019. I worked in civil district court, and now I'm in county criminal. Loving it. And Kathy?
And I graduated when?
I know, right?
It takes a minute.
Been so long.
99, I was licensed in 99. I actually started working in 2000. I started trying to do stuff myself, which wasn't wise. I should have got with a firm. But I freelanced for about 13 years. And I have 2 fur babies. I talk about them all the time. I love them. And they are half German Shepherd. Shelby is the oldest. She's about 7. Half German Shepherd and just mixed with mutt. The vet and I, we never could figure it out. And then my baby, Blue, she'll be 2 in February. And she's Border Collie, Pit Bull, and Labrador Retriever.
Wow.
I know.
Cool.
And she's a boatloat of energy. She is just
Spoiled
rotten. I mean, I just love her.
Pomeranians.
I love her dog.
2 teeny tiny Pomeranians. 3 pounds and 8 pounds.
So adorable, so cute, her babies. So, but yeah, that's what I do. So I actually I've been a official. I started in 2015 in misdemeanor court. I went into misdemeanor court because I freelanced mostly in felony court for years, and it was the content of the matter was just too much for me, and so I shifted gears. I thought I would do DWIs and little marijuana cases, all that kind of thing, and I'm glad that I did because I was not I don't feel that I was. Is that negative talk? A felony reporter. That was not for me.
It's
as
just
long
too
as I did
fast.
it was just too much. So I'm glad that I did misdemeanor court. My first experience with the judge that I had was intense. He's a serious judge. I talk to Pam about him all the time, but it was something that I needed. I needed that experience, but I'm super happy in civil court now, and that's what I do.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
So, here we go. Ready? Do I need to be sworn into sub in court? And this is going to be universal for all states because I think most of this information should be universal. Do I need to be sworn in? And what is that answer?
Yes.
Let's hear it again. Yes. We do need to be sworn in as deputy reporters, right? And I have, well, who swears me in and when? Each county, each division? Depends on what state you're in, depends on where you are. I've been talking to people to find out, and like in Harris County, as an example, since I'm in Harris County, we have to be sworn in by our own judge that we work for. So when I first started, I was sworn in. Actually, I had to go to a swearing-in ceremony where the judges were being sworn in, and my own judge had to swear me in. And then when we got going and we got up to the courthouse, anytime there is a new county clerk that comes in that gets appointed gets elected in, then all the court reporters have to be re-sworn in by that county clerk. You have to all come into a room, they swear you all in, and you have to sign a form. So anytime there's a new county clerk, we have to be sworn in again. If you switch judges, you have to be sworn in. So when I switched judges, I had to be sworn in by my new judge. And I asked because I wasn't sure about this, but I remember thought I wanted to be a deputy reporter like 10 years ago, and I remember having to go get sworn in. I remember having to go get sworn in by the district court judge and by the county court judge, because I was I never did it, but I went and got sworn in just in case I ever got called out to do it. But I've been told now that you don't have to do that. Once you're sworn in the county as a whole, then you're sworn in. But if I was to go to Fort Bend or somewhere else, I'd have to do all that again. What about where you are?
Well, I got sworn in initially when I started my officialship with my then judge. That was the only time that we were sworn in.
The clerk didn't have to swear you in? I think it depends on the county you're in, depends on the state you're in. There's a lot of things, so you just have to find out when you go who's to swear you in. What about you, William?
Is that a private thing with just you and the judge, or has to be another witness? Or
It was just
anything?
private.
curious.
She just took me in her
I've never had
office.
to do it.
Yeah, she took me in her office and just swore me in.
Okay.
No.
I think in Bear County, I mean, I've seen it on,
Mhm.
they have this big
I didn't
to-do about, and then all the court reporters get out in front of the
Oh.
courthouse and, hey, we had our big swearing in today.
See, that's what we did with the clerk. We all had to go in this big room, and we all had to go in and raise our hands, and they swore us in, and we had to say our name and all that. But for our judges, the first one, I was, because I was new and she was a new judge, and they were having a swearing in of all the judges, because there's a ton of new judges. They all came in, I forgot where we were at Toyota Center, I think, or whatever it's called now, Energy Center. We went in there, and I remember the judges had to go on this big deal and get sworn in on a stage. They pulled us into a back room, and you had to go with your own judge, and you had to sign a form, and your own judge swore you in. Right, I know, right? Back room, I know, right? And she swore me in, so, yeah, I think it's just
We did
different.
that. Well,
Is that what you did?
So we signed the oath,
Mhm.
and the clerk was present, come to think of it. So she
Okay.
was present, but judge swore me in. But we did sign, what is this, the oath of
The oath of
office?
Yeah, the oath of office,
Yeah.
yeah, we had to sign
We
that,
signed
yeah.
that, but yeah.
And I think once you get it on, as long as it's the same clerk, I mean, in Harris County, at least it's that way, as long as it's the same clerk, you're sworn in for however long, but once that changes and there's a different clerk, and I've told people before, if you don't remember if you were sworn in, just let the judge swear you in, and in Harris County too, we have a temp agency that our subs work through. We have a sub pool, and that pool works for family court. All those subs just work for family court because for some unknown reason, and I've never worked in family court, so I don't know the answer to this, but in family court, there is a judge that's been elected, and then for each judge, there's an associate judge. And it got so busy, I guess because there's so many cases, that they got this pool, and this pool's been working with the associate judges. But if the reporter of that court is available, they have to go to the associate judge. And then the pool is available for another court. But they pretty much only work for family law. They're talking about having another pool available for like civil courts and stuff, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. There's just not enough people. We're all working like crazy, and yeah. And in my case, in the county court that I'm in, there's 16 county courts, county criminal courts, and we just all fill in for each other because we're not always on the record at the same time. So we just kind of help each other fill in if somebody's out for whatever reason.
That's what we
just
do
fill
on
in.
our floor. We only have 3 courts on our floor, in the George Allen building. A court reporter gets sick, we cover
Figure
each
it
other.
out,
Yeah,
right?
we cover each
Are those
other.
county courts numbered, like number
Yes,
1
1 through 16. Mhm.
Wow. that's weird number.
I'm in 15.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 through 16.
I slept at George Allen quite a bit years ago.
Yeah.
That's something different because there's so many counties here in Texas.
Yeah.
whereas
The central
in
jury
Arizona,
room.
it's one
And
big-
you
Oh,
have
really?
all
One
of us,
big-
we get
oh,
together.
yeah,
Marion
Marion
County,
County.
Marion County was the biggest county.
Wow.
They're talking about
Yeah.
subs.
It's different.
So
Yeah.
the subs that come in, the judge swears them in, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
and
mean, as far as I'm.
right. Well, and I haven't had to have a sub because I'm always at work, but I always tell people if you're going to be a sub in court, just for safety's sake, I would just say let that judge swear you in when you come out before you go on the record. That way you've been sworn in and everything's good, so there's not an issue. That way nobody can come back and. Well,
Paper.
then the
The
clerk.
clerk is
There's
there.
a thing you
Yeah,
sign.
so you have to
There's a
sign
form.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Do they still have roving judges come around?
The associate judges that fill in, and we have visiting judges. I mean,
Visiting.
you know,
Maybe that's what they're calling it.
Yeah. visiting judges, because like if my judges miss a little bit, every once in a while she's out for whatever. And you know, in criminal court it's a little different, I think, than civil. We've already got people coming in from jail, so we never shut down. That's what my coordinator taught me that at the very beginning. We are always on.
And
And
civil,
yeah.
we'll have a sub next week.
You'll
My
have a
judge is
sub.
gonna be out, yeah. So I'll have a
They
visiting
call them
judge.
roving judges back
Yeah.
when I
Oh,
was
do they?
wondering whether it'd be official or freelance or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I know for us they call them visiting judges.
Okay, that's probably-
Yeah. And it's usually somebody who has been on the bench
Mhm.
that got voted out.
Mm.
So typically that's who it is.
Retired.
Yeah, retired, yeah.
We get visiting judges, and we have, like, I've done a lot of Texas disciplinary, disciplinary lawyers, disciplinary whatever.
Hearings, yeah.
Yeah, and so it has to be a judge from another county that comes
Oh,
in to
yeah.
hear it. And they
That makes
cannot
sense.
have heard, have ever heard of this attorney that's been, before him. So they bring an associate judge. And so they're like, have you ever heard of this attorney? And I'm like, no. You want to do this Texas disciplinary hearing? And I'm like, I guess, okay, you have to talk to my judge. And so went and met on the 8th floor, and there was a little old man sitting there, and I'm like, are you one of the attorneys in this case? And he's like, no, I'm the judge. I'm like, oh, okay, just waiting for the, waiting for the bailiff to come and unlock the courtroom, because they had to be another, and not in our courtroom,
Right.
but another courtroom. And so I said, so what county did you come from, Judge? Where did you come from? He goes, oh, if I told you, you wouldn't know.
Where did you come
would
from?
not know. And I'm going, well, where did you come from? I don't know. And he said, Cameron. And I'm like, I know exactly where that is. He goes, well, how do you know? Do you have family there? I said, no, our property is there. He goes, really? And he goes, where is that? And I said, in San Gabriel, Texas. And he's going, in Milam County. And he goes, I know exactly where that is. I know exactly where that is. And then he's like, where's the file on this case? Where's the file on the case? And because we do everything electronic, like County Houston.
Yeah.
And I'm going, the file? Yeah, the paperwork on this case, the file. And I'm going, well, we do everything electronic. What am I supposed to look at? And he didn't know how to use the Odyssey system or whatever. And so he goes, is there any way to get the paperwork? So I had to run back to the coordinator, and she had to print everything. So
Oh my gosh.
he wasn't used to doing that in Milam County, or.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wow, that's really. Miss Reporter, when it was over, Miss Court Reporter, yeah. He goes, when might you retire? When are you going to retire? Because I had a hell of a time finding a court reporter for Cameron County, because nobody lives out there.
They have a
That's
hard
court
time,
reporter,
yeah.
And I'm like, that won't be for a while. It's not going to be for a
I'm
while.
not giving up my court for a while.
What a small world, huh?
That's crazy.
Small world.
So, what do I need to know ahead to go sub in court? And who do I ask? The court reporter, the judge, the coordinator, the bailiff? Who do I ask these questions to? What to ask first? So here's some questions to ask. First of all, who to ask, it depends. Is there a reporter in that court? And is she just out for whatever reason? Surgery, just got a baby, whatever. That's the first thing you need to know. Is there an actual official in that court? If there's not an official, things are different. So, things that you want to ask. Does the reporter have an instruction sheet? If there is an official in that court, does the official have a instruction sheet for the deputy reporter to follow that tells you what you need to do and how she wants things done? Are you going to be allowed in the reporter's office if he or she has an office? Or are they going to want you to stay in the courtroom? Should you go ahead and check out the courtroom ahead of the trial? Where do I park? Should I meet the bailiff ahead of time so he knows who I am when I walk in? Or she, male or female bailiffs? How much time do I need to go through security? What microphones do I need? Is there a setup I can plug into? What's going on with that? What do I need to do for that? Where should I sit? When can I set up? Where's the bathroom? Where's the break room? I'll give you a quick story on the where should I sit thing. So I really never was in court. Before I went in, I never even subbed in court before I was hired. Never even subbed in
Oh,
court.
wow.
Terrified of court. Always said I'd never be in court. Didn't I? Always said I'd never be in court. Never said I'd never be in court. So I got the job in November. We didn't start until January. And after that happened, one of my family law clients called me up and she said, "Where are you at?" And I go, I just got out of a job. What's going on? And she said, "Where are you? Physically, where are you?" And I said, about 5 minutes from my house. She goes, "How fast can you get to Angleton?" I'm like, "Well, about 45 minutes if there's not any bad traffic." She goes, get here now." And I'm like, "Where am I going?"
Yeah,
And she
really.
said, "I need you at the courthouse. I need you at the courthouse, like right now." I'm like, okay, just, I'm coming. And so I said, as I get closer, you tell me where to go. I've never even been here. I don't know anything about it. Never even been in court. Where do I set up? I mean, no clue. Never been in, I didn't even know where to sit, nothing, knew nothing. So I walk in and she's waiting outside for me and she shushes me in, let's go. And there's a lot of people in there. It's like 2:00 in the afternoon and there's not that many people left, but people are still going. And I go, "When do I set up? What do I do? What happens?" Because I've never been in court before. Do I swear in the witness? What's going on? You know, and she said, "Just follow the judge's lead." And I'm like, well, but yeah, and I didn't know what to do. I was terrified.
I
I
don't
was
know either.
I was totally
Yeah.
terrified. So I sat down in the back and I had my equipment and I sat in the back and I'm like, and the judge calls the case, and I stand up and my client said, "I have a court reporter here," and he goes, "Where is she?" And he's like really like pissed off because I'm not set up. And I'm like, "I'm here, Judge." "Well, come up here and set up." And he's like practically yelling at me. And I'm like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And I'm like, "Where? Where's the plug?" You know, I mean, I never literally didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I go in there and he points me over and I'm like, okay. So I set up my stuff and I'm trying to hurry because he's getting upset. And, you know, I'm like freaking out because I've never done it before. And so I get all set up. I'm okay, Judge, I'm ready. So we get going and he's going like a bat out of hell. I don't know what's happening. I'm just trying to ride like the wind. I have no idea.
really.
Never done it before. Didn't know what to expect. Just, you know. And so riding along and about to pack up. We're done, about to pack up. And another attorney walks up to me. "Can you stay here for my hearing too?" And I go, okay, you got to give me some information. And so she gives me information and I said, "I'll be billing you. I'll be sending you a bill. Give me your business card and all this." And I said, you're going to pay this bill. If I have problems collecting from you, I will be at your office for a check. I don't know you. I'm doing you a favor. And, you know, I'm very blunt. Kathy knows I'm very blunt. And she said, "Yes, ma'am, not a problem." I gave her my card and I said, "I'll be sending this to you today. So you know. And so I contacted the firm and told them, because I was there for a firm, and I said, I took this, because I put all my own clients through a firm, one of my friend's firms. And I said, "I took this, I'm putting it through for you. I need you to bill this lady right now and collect this money. Because I don't know her from Adam and I want to make sure we get paid. Both of us
Did he
get
swear
paid."
you in first?
And no, he didn't swear me in. He didn't. I just did it, and I didn't even think about it at the time.
Of course.
I
not,
never
yeah.
even thought, because I'm just there because my client's panicking, and I'm like, whatever. So I took it down, and then after it was over, I was like, "Oh my God, girl, I've never done this before. You scared the crap out of me. I didn't know what was going on." And
That's the way
afterwards,
you learn, though.
yes, and I told the judge after and that was the last 2 hearings of the day, the ones that I did. And I told the judge, I said, "I am so sorry, Judge, that I wasn't set up." I said, "I apologize. I have never," so I've been reporting like 27 years and I've never been in court. I said,
Yeah.
"I had no idea what I was supposed to do, where I was supposed to be, nothing." And he said, "Oh, no wonder, no problem. Let me tell you. So if you come in here again, you know what's going on." I said, "Okay." So he's telling me, there could be 10 reporters in here. There could be 10. I don't know how many, because everybody hires their person. He said, "We don't have a court reporter. So you just come in and you just get up here in line with everybody else. And when they call your case, you just sit down and take it." And I'm going, "Oh my God, I don't want to do this again."
Yeah, really.
And I'm like, "Okay." And he said, "You just walk in and do it." And I said, "But I don't want to interrupt." And he goes, "It doesn't matter, you just come in." And I was like, okay. It was kind of crazy. But he was really nice when he realized I had never done it before. I said, I do apologize for not being set up, but I just had no clue and I didn't want to interrupt. And he's like, no, you just walk in here and, I was like, oh my gosh. But he was nice to me after that. He was kind of rough with me at the beginning, and I'm thinking, and I probably had an attitude. I was like, dude, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And you're, bear with me a second, but I probably gave him that look unknowingly because I can do that sometimes. But yeah, that was an unusual experience. Unusual experience for sure. But these are all questions that you have when you go into court, right? And we don't know what we don't know, right? So I think these are good questions to ask. If there is an official, you should have like a little list of questions before you go into sub.
And you mentioned Georgia Allen. What was her name again? Sorry.
Melba.
Melba.
Like
We were
in
talking
Toast.
about, yeah.
Just don't call me
I used to
Toast.
Just don't call you
sub
Toast.
do quite a bit of subbing in Georgia Allen. I don't know how the lines are now, but it used to be horrendous as far as like the people in line to get through, all the security things.
Yes.
And so it just took us forever. And I'm like, if you didn't get there, that's a good question. Like you probably 45 minutes because 30 wouldn't do it. So
Yeah.
the lines were just crazy. So I don't know.
It's great. Well,
Is this-
I have the judges, I go through the judges
Yeah.
garage.
When I used to sub it, when I subbed,
Yeah.
I was Frank
Yeah, you have
Frank
to-
Crowley and Georgia
The
Allen.
lines are terrible.
It's crazy. Oh my gosh.
So it's important to know that.
Know that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
get there
don't-
really early.
Really
You have
early.
At least half an hour to set up,
Yeah.
but the lines are
The
like.
lines are a monster.
And that's why I think it's a good idea, if you can, to go the night before so you know where you're going. If you can get in, so they'll know where you're going. If you can get the court reporter to meet you and say, this is where you're going to sit, or the bailiff or somebody. Or when I was new, last January, it was brand new, and we hadn't started doing anything yet. And one of the judges was gung-ho, wanted to start doing stuff right away. And she didn't have a court reporter. So she would call around to see who was available. And of course, I'm always available because we weren't doing anything at the time. So I went in, and so I called the coordinator of her court and said, hey, would you ask the judge if she minds if I come in for a few minutes? And she acted kind of like, what? And I said, do you mind, just ask her if she has 10 minutes to spare, if I could come in for just 10 minutes. And she's like, okay. So I went in, made an appointment with that judge because I was going to be filling in on some case for her. And it was my very first time to actually take something in court. First time. I hadn't even done anything in my own court yet. And so I went in and I said, Judge, hey, I just, thank you for meeting with me. I just want you to know, I said, I'm not a new reporter, but I'm very new to court. I have never done court. And I want to know what your procedures are. Do you swear in the witnesses, or do I? How do I know you're on the record or you're not on the record? These are just, I want to make sure that you and I are a team, and that I can look at you and know what you expect of me and what I expect of you, so that we have a nice, clear record and clear beginning and clear understanding. And she's like, oh, I so appreciate you coming in and doing this ahead of time so that we can be on the same page. And she was super nice. She thought it was great. She was super nice about it. I tried to do the same thing with my own judge. Didn't go so well. But, but it's important that you get that. You either ahead of time, like, come in a little early so you can talk with the judge ahead of time. Because I think it's important that you know. Because I went into sub for my friend Shannon a couple weeks ago. And I had not subbed in her court before. So I run in there and I get all set up and I'm ready to go, and I'm sitting there ready to go. My hands are on the keyboard and I'm just waiting. I'm looking at my keyboard ready to go, and then everybody's staring at me. And I'm like, why are they looking at me? and I looked at I'm ready, Judge. And he looked down at me and goes, you gonna swear him in? I went, oh, I'm sorry. I said, in my court, my judge swears him in. So I was just expecting you to do that. I apologize. Yes, sir, let's do this. And I swore him in. I was like, oh my gosh, do I even remember? I haven't sworn anybody in a year. Because my judge swears everybody in. I know, I was like, oh my God, wait, what's the oath? I had to go through my head. So that's important to know those things when you walk in.
Camaraderie going.
Yeah. So
When
you know.
interpreters come into the courtroom, and I know they're going to have an interpreter,
Yeah.
I always say, the interpreter, they come in.
Yeah.
I swear the interpreter in.
Yeah.
So when my judge comes in, I'll say, Judge, I've already sworn in before.
It's funny you say
She's like,
that.
thank you so much.
I haven't been
Because-
swearing in interpreters in my court, but I
Yeah,
think
I swear in the interpreters now, so she doesn't have to,
I didn't think of that.
because she'll be going, where's my statement? Where's my statement for the interpreter?
we always have the
She
same
loves it.
interpreter. So that's a good question. So is the interpreter, once the judge swears them in, they sworn in? Because we always have the same person in our court for like months, and then they switch. I've never sworn in an interpreter.
Yeah, you can swear in an interpreter
My
yourself.
judge swears.
Every time? She doesn't do it every time.
Well, if she's already done it. Well, when she
Is it like the
swear at
reporter
the
once she
very
does it
beginning.
once?
Yeah, and if you have the same person, that the interpreter coming in each time, just swear him once, you solemnly swear that the, you know,
Yeah.
whatever the interpreter thing is.
But once a day or permanently? Because she's been there for like 6 months and I don't remember anybody ever swearing her in.
Wow.
You need to swear in the interpreter
Every time?
every time.
Yeah, judge swears in. We have
Yeah, you have
we have
to-
an
you
interpreter
have
for our
to.
county, one interpreter. And McLennan County, I guess, is small.
Mhm.
And so everybody knows our interpreter. He's all over the courthouse, he's at the juvie court. And so, but before each testimony or whenever he's getting ready to interpret, yeah, judge swears him in
Yeah.
for each case.
I never even thought, I need to tell my judge that because
Yeah, you need to.
I just assumed that once they swear them in, because it's the same person all the time, that just like us, they're
For
sworn
each
in.
case.
Yeah, for each case they,
Oh,
For each
wow.
case.
We haven't been
I
doing
was
that
told we
at
had over
all.
1,400
This whole time.
cases, I mean, you know,
Wow.
cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know. I need to let her know that. Wow. Okay. Ooh, I just learned something myself. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So these
I
are,
don't swear in the
Yeah.
witnesses though, my judge.
Yeah, my judge does
swears.
too. Yeah.
And you know, we'd be going along, okay, counsel proceed, state your name for the record, excuse me. Yes, you know, my judge is like, yes, whenever I interrupt, excuse me, you forgot to swear the witness. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
That's what, I am losing my mind.
wow.
Have to do that with my ALJs too.
It's like,
Same
wait a
thing.
minute.
Already,
Yeah.
give their
you
whole
have to.
spiel and then, you know, bring your witness up.
They forget too.
State
I gotta pay attention, more attention to that, because I'm so used to her doing it that I don't even think about it anymore. I need to pay closer attention to that. I never even thought about, I just thought the interpreter, like us, once they were sworn in, they're sworn in. Because it's the same person.
The cases are
I hate, because I can speak fluent Spanish.
Yeah,
Some of these interpreters that come in here, I'm like, they are not interpreting.
yeah,
It's not my,
yeah.
you know.
That's not our
To
job.
say they're not interpreting correctly, or I'll say, golly, the only time I open my mouth, that interpreter is spot on. That's the only time, but I will not open my mouth until my judge are not
Right.
interpreting correctly. I won't
No.
do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Nope. I
So
object.
who swears in the witnesses? We just talked about this kind of, who swears in men? Sometimes it's the clerk. Some judges want the clerks to do it. They want you to keep your hands on a keyboard. I had somebody do that when I subbed in. They had the clerk swear everybody in. Sometimes it's the judge, sometimes it's a reporter. And how do you know what to take down? That was a big one for me at the beginning. I didn't know, like, one of the reporters came in and I said, okay, I need you to tell me what is required to be taken down. Because I had a new judge, she didn't know either. And there were certain things, I can't even remember what they're called now in civil because I've been over here for a year, but certain things that anything to do with the juvenile had to be taken down. And then there were certain things that needed to be taken down. And the rest I had to ask, you know, would you like a record?
You take down everything?
Mm-mm. And in my court, my current court, I take down, the only thing I take down are motions to suppress. They have to be scheduled ahead of time. Any kind of motion that they want on the record that to tell ahead, and the judge will tell me, bench trials and trials. I don't take everything. I even don't take pleas, which some judges want pleas.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let me
Yeah.
interrupt you. We,
Yeah.
early on, to answer your
Yeah.
question, we, when I first started,
Mhm.
I didn't know that pleas weren't required to be on the record. So we take down everything.
Really?
Yeah,
Don't
usually the
take
attorneys,
It's real strange.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the county.
I think
or
it
the
depends on the
yeah,
judges.
Wherever you, the judges.
And
So-
when I worked in Florida, every single plea they took had to be transcribed.
Yeah,
Every single, you
Really?
do
yeah.
30.
No, we don't take down MSJs, summary
No.
judgments. And I didn't know about,
Yeah.
when I was in felony court, victim impact statements, until the judge saw me writing. He says, no, we don't take that down. I was just writing. He didn't say we were off the record. So when it got ready time for the victim impact statement, those are not on the record. Oh my God. And so he looked down and he said, no, we're not writing. I'm like, so some things, you know, it's
Yeah.
a learning experience, learning curve, so.
I do MSJs if they,
Oh, you do?
if they want.
Yeah,
If they
yeah,
request
if they
it.
request it, yeah.
TROs, we don't take TROs unless they
Yeah.
request it. TIs,
Yeah.
just about all the temporary injection we put.
Yeah.
Motion dismissed, motion compelled, we
Yeah.
put those on the record.
Those
We
on the
put all
record.
those motions on.
Do you guys do prove-ups? We don't do prove-ups
We
on
do the
record.
prove ups on the record.
You do?
Yes, a little kid and gout.
Temporary injunction.
Oh,
TI's temporary injunction.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
You're asking what they're,
I
yeah. No,
asked
you're
for
fine.
both, TRO and TI. No, I asked for both.
Yeah.
Terms
Yeah.
I have not.
Yeah, oh yeah, because you're, freelancing. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I learned over there that, and some things you don't take down sometimes. and like motion summary judgments, I used to take them down only if they asked for them because they're not appealable. I didn't know that. They can't appeal on a summary judgment.
Right.
And so
Well,
I didn't know.
sometimes they do. But
Yeah.
These little baby
Exactly.
trains coming out.
They don't
"Well,
know."
We're gonna appeal it. I'm like, okay, there's money for me.
Yeah.
I don't tell them, we don't,
Yeah.
that's not appealable. I don't say, that's money
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
No fool.
You don't tell
the
them, you just.
transcript, by the way, today you can't appeal.
Yeah.
Running hard, by the
You
way.
know, oh my gosh. Oh, I went to this one county, I forgot where it was, but anyway, it's on the way to WinStar, that's all I know. But I went into sub, and so the judge is talking to an attorney, how was your weekend? Oh, our vacation was great, blah, 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 blah. And, I'm sitting there, and then she looks over at me, she goes, are you taking this down? And I'm like, no, because they're talking about the judge's
Yeah.
vacation. She goes, in this court, you take everything down,
Wow.
including that. And I'm
Really?
like, okay, I'm ready. And
Wow.
then I heard
Who
she's a
told you
real
that?
bitch. The judge
Wow.
told me that. In this court, the judge was telling me,
That's
in this
right.
court, you take everything down, including her
Interesting.
vacation,
Even though she was talking
conversation.
about her own vacation.
Yes,
That's
yes.
wild.
That's
And I'm
crazy.
like, okay, guess you don't like no Mexicans in here. That's what I thought.
Wow.
I was like, okay.
Interesting.
And then she goes, I want the transcript after you're done. I never sent it to her. She wanted what I wrote for me to send it to her by email. And I didn't send it to
Some kind
her.
of personal thing.
Yeah.
It's kind
She
of
was a
weird.
real-
That's weird.
She must
Yeah.
be related to Pam's.
I think so.
Yeah, and
I couldn't believe her.
well, and
could
I
not
always,
believe her.
I've told my judges, if they are wanting I've heard people talk about their judges wanting transcripts. I don't do anything for free. I always say my salary is for writing. If you want to pay me to do this transcript, that's one thing. And so if you want it, then somebody's going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so I would call, only happened, I think, one time, and I called the attorneys and I said, hey, the judge wants this, she wants this record. Y'all need to split the cost of it. I'm not doing it for free. And I would make them pay for it. I had that happen, I think, just once. But I found out later that we could have made Harris County pay for
Yeah,
it.
the county will
But I
pay
made
for
them pay for it, and it
Yeah.
gave them.
Attorneys actually pay you? Did they actually pay
Yeah,
you?
they did.
Yes, yes. they do.
Really?
They didn't even argue with me. I didn't know it was new, right? I didn't know. I was like, somebody's gonna pay me for this. I ain't doing it for free. And so I just called them and said, hey, y'all need to split the cost of this. The judge wants it. And they're like, okay, no problem. I got the check the next day. Nobody argued with me.
Wow.
But I did find out that the county would pay for it. The judge would have to sign an order, and then
Right.
the county would pay. But who knew? I didn't know. I
Yeah.
thought, well, someone's gonna pay, and I didn't think Harris County would pay for that. Who knew? I learn new things every day, but nobody ever said anything, so I left it alone. But now I know.
I'll do a rough
You know?
draft for my judge. The first time I got a request was for last week, and it was something she's working on, and she'd forgotten something or other, and so she requested a rough draft, so I did that. But the judge that I had before her would ask for that kind of thing all the time. Not all the time, but he did a couple of times, and he was really, really, really old school. And I think he kind of felt like we were like overpaid secretaries. It was that kind of
Yes,
situation. That's how I
course.
felt.
Yes, of
I
course.
felt that way. And so he's like, why do you, I don't understand why you guys, he literally said that to me at one time when I had one situation where I had like 3 appeals. And remember, this is misdemeanor court, so trials are only a day and a half. But we went probably about 2 days on each trial, and we were in trial every week. So I had 3 appeals. $1,500 maybe for each one, $1,700 for that. He was like, you guys, he would have to sign the thing, right, before I take it to the auditor's
More money
office.
than the judges.
He had a hard time with that. He's trying to figure out, doesn't this already belong to the court? I don't understand why you guys are still getting paid for these pages. You would think that I'm like, well, Judge, that's the way that it's always been. I mean, this is what we do. This is
I'm
different.
gonna hand
The way that
people
you just
my
described
machine and
that
say, here, you
is
do
perfect.
this.
I agree.
I take my,
Right?
You do
what I
what
do,
I
I
do.
take my computer with my audio sync, my judge wants to know something, I go Control W, I take that.
Yeah, Control W.
And it plays what she said, audio sync, okay, that's on there, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to, print it.
I would rather do that too. That's a smart
I
idea.
do, here,
That's
this
just
is
what
what
my
she
judge
said.
never asked for
Okay, that's all
that.
I need.
We had our first appeal. My judge has been on the bench now almost 2 years, and we just had the first appeal for her. So I told her, I said, she said, how much is it going to cost me to get that appeal? And I said, Judge, is this your first appeal? Because she's already there 10 months before me. And she said, yeah, it's my very first one. I said, consider this my gift to you, this one and only time.
Oh,
And she
wow.
laughed. And she goes, really? And I go, yeah, this is your first appeal. This is my gift to you. This is fun. So I like gave it to her. I was like, no worries, this is yours, you know. And she was all thankful. So, but yeah, they'll pay for it. Who knew? You know.
What?
I am so confused.
Why?
Because if we're writing in court,
Mhm.
shouldn't the judge automatically get a transcript?
No, because we don't automatically transcribe.
Mhm.
You only transcribe when the attorneys pay you. If they
Oh,
don't
when
pay
you
me, I don't
get it.
transcribe.
A friendly
There's only
note
about
from the Court of
A fourth
Appeals.
of what goes on in court that gets
Yeah.
transcribed.
Very little of it gets
Very
transcribed.
little of it.
Maybe an appeal or, no.
If
I
they're
get-
requesting
I get
something.
so many transcripts.
And they have to pay you first.
Sorry.
No, that's
Well,
good.
I mean,
You
that's
didn't
why.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, I was the same way. I thought we would write and transcribe everything, and I was freaking out, going, oh my God, I've been writing all day. When am I going to transcribe?
But it's so
But you
fast.
don't.
Everybody
Yeah.
says 300 words a minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very fast in court.
When I first started
Okay, I'm gonna have to talk
freelancing, when I very first started freelancing, they said, here, you need to fill out this paperwork from a background check. I go, why do I need to have a background check? Why do I have to have nobody else did, you know? Why
Yeah.
do I? Well, would you be willing to do federal grand jury? And I'm like, I don't know what that entails, you know, federal grand jury. I know it's federal, of course.
Never did.
I don't know what it is. Anyway, so I fill out the paperwork, they did a background check and everything, went to my neighbor's house, you know, asked questions, whatever.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, I'm, you know, going along, you know, doing my deposition, we're going to court, because that's the first day that I started, they threw me in magistrate court.
Oh, wow.
You know, and so I've been going, you know, different courts and doing depositions, different courts, doing depositions. Okay, so I'm going along, like 3 months pass by, okay, you're needed in federal grand jury, you need to go to the United States courthouse. Well, I don't even know where that is, you know,
Right.
in downtown Fort Worth. I don't know where that is. And so, okay, we'll show you where it's at or whatever. So you need to hurry up and move along. So I go to go through the federal, you know, the machine, or whatever. Security. And so I'm like, okay, we're gonna go, it's in the basement. You need to go down the basement. I'll walk down there and I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. So the attorney says, are you the court reporter? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I need you to raise your right hand. And he's now Richard Roper, who was the actual district attorney for the state of Texas. He's like, I need you to raise your right hand. Okay, I raised my right hand. Okay, there's a grand jury sitting in front of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta sit here and write in front of them. You know, the tables they're all right there, you know, and some newspapers, whatever. So I'm like, okay, call the first witness. Okay, so they bring this man in, and he's shackled, feet, arms, you know, whatever. And I forgot what color, so I think it was orange, but anyway, they seat him. Anyway, he murdered, him and the Hall brothers murdered this girl. It was a bad drug thing that went bad, and they buried her alive.
Oh, my God.
And that was my first murder case. And I was like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? You know, why? This is way too, I was a nervous wreck. Okay, they called in the girlfriend of the guy. She's wearing the Gucci necklace that they ripped off of this girl that they murdered.
Oh, my God.
She's wearing the Gucci. And so the DA's asking her, who does, because they dug her grave. She died from it. They thought she was dead. Asphyxiation or whatever it's called. So he was asking her, what kind of dog do you have? Well, we have, you know, the big, I forget what kind of dog, but the mean Dobermans. And said, well, when your dog poops in the backyard, who cleans it up? Because he was trying to get them to, her, you know, because they hit her over the head with a shovel. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God. You know, and so then they bring another witness that came in who was supposed to pick up some drugs at the hotel. And he's like, you know, well, I went to the bathroom, I had to go to the bathroom, and he heard something in the bathtub. So he went ahead and he moved the curtains to the side, and he saw this person sitting there in a chair with a bag over her head, you know, and she was tied She was still alive at that time. And anyway, after it was all over and we had all that, we went up there and they did a true bill. They true billed it. And so all rise, I have to go up to another courtroom. I had to take my machine up there in the federal, and that's when they went ahead and they true billed him and the rest, and his brother. It was the Hall brothers. You can look it up on the internet. So that after everybody left, the bailiff comes to me and he goes, excuse me, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, when I say all rise, that means you two.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He
you
goes,
knew.
that includes you rise whenever, because it's a federal judge.
Yeah.
You rise too. And I'm like, okay. Well, I did, 8 years of federal grand jury.
Wow.
8 years.
Wow.
And I've done several murder cases. I don't know why I always get.
You always get murder cases.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
I don't know that I would want to do
doesn't want
that.
to go do the murder case.
Yeah, I had one. I had a murder case.
It's horrible.
Yeah, the guy it was crazy. The guy had stabbed his girl was leading him on, and he stabbed her like 37 times. She had 2 kids. It was a crime of passion, and he was calm by the time they had gotten to. He literally stabbed her. The door was wide open, and there was a ground cop who lived in the same apartment complex. And they got a complaint and a call, and he walked around there, and the door was wide open. There's blood everywhere, just everywhere. And the perpetrator, the murderer, is still there, at the kitchen sink with the weapon, washing his hands. He'd gone to I think change his shirt or something, but he was at the kitchen sink, calm. Her body is on the floor. So the cop, looks in and he's freaking out, trying to stay calm, and he's looking for a sidearm. So he's saying, "Sir, what's going on here?" It's a Twilight Zone. "Sir, can I see your hands?" And so the guy says, "Just a minute," but they're speaking in Spanish. And so he says, "I need to see your hands." And so, okay. So he lifts his hands up. He says, "Okay, back up towards me." And so the guy was able to, he just complied with everything he said. So he got on the phone, and I remember him saying, "I need help over here right now. Somebody get somebody over here now. There's blood everywhere. There's a body." It was crazy. And so he got in the car, and he's telling everybody, "If I can't have her, nobody can have her. If I can't have her, nobody can have her." So that was something that I did, and I had to handle the murder, the pictures, and the weapon, and she had 2 kids, they were all high, and it was just crazy madness. But the guy had gone, he left the scene after, this altercation with the girl. He went home, got a CD, a specific song on the CD that said the song was about stabbing someone.
Oh, wow.
So they come back to the apartment. I'm going to get in trouble for this, y'all. They come back to the apartment. He's playing the CD, and he's asking her, "Hey, do you like that song? Do you like that song?" She's like, she's half high, drunk or whatever, and she's like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" So yeah, he gets a knife and starts to kill her, stab her.
Yeah.
So her friend's there, and she's got a chair trying to, those white plastic lawn
trying to
chairs?
hit him.
Tried to break. She broke the chair trying to get him. He was gone. He was out of it. He was just in a zone. And so she runs out of the house, screaming and beating on the neighbor's door. The neighbor testified, and the guy said, Mom, do not open that door, whatever you do." It was crazy. And so, but he was in a zone. So that was my murder case. That was my first murder case. I never forgot that. We had an interpreter. The guy was from Oaxaca, Mexico. And I specifically remember him saying to the judge, "When this is over, can I go home?" The interpreter was there, and everybody was there, and the judge looked at him for a minute. He's like, "What did you say?" "When this is over, can I go home? I got 2 daughters at home in Mexico." He's like, "If you're found not guilty, you can go home. We're getting ready to start a murder trial." So
He was out of his mind. Yeah.
It was
Oh my
it was
gosh.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that was
and
the
you
first
still
time.
have pre-trial before the actual trial. where the, you know, what can be admitted, what can't be admitted. You know, you have all these pre-hearings that you have before you actually go to trial. You know, and it's like, I don't want to do, and I didn't, my judge called me, I'm like, I got a $1,500 check. What am I going to do with this one check? And my husband, like, just go, you know, contribute it to your SEP. Just, you know, add it to that. And I'm like, okay, so we're on the way to the bank so I could add it to my SEP. And my phone rings. And I'm like, hello, Melba? Yeah, this is Judge Slaughter. I said, yes, Judge. What do you need? I thought maybe she needed something because I subbed in that court for 7 years already.
Right.
You know, she goes, I need to talk to you. I just want to know if you want to come work for me. And I'm like, what is going on? She says, I fired my court reporter.
Wow.
She wasn't writing on her machine. In court, she was recording it. And while I was
She's moved
subbing
her
for...
fingers or what?
Was she a certified reporter? Or was she
Yes.
one of those fakers?
No, she is a certified court reporter.
Wow.
And so somebody had told her that, you know, she's not writing.
She's not actually
She's
writing.
just
good Lord.
reporting because she's like, oh, I can't find my notes, my computer screwed up. And so I would do her tape for her for a hearing that they
Yeah.
needed, you
Yeah.
know, and so she would give me the tape, can you write it for me because I can't find it on my thing. But I
she
didn't know
would
that
lie
she
and
wasn't
say,
writing.
oh my God.
So I would do the
Right.
transcript
Mhm.
because I was subbing in her court
Right.
so many times. And so I would do the transcript for her.
Oh my goodness.
State your name for the record, you know, and I knew plain it was because I've been doing it in her court for 7, maybe even 8
Oh
years
my
too.
God.
And so I was
That's
like, okay, and she
amazing.
goes, I'll pay you, I'll pay you what I would get paid. So she paid me $6 a page for the transcript.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I'm like, why did you fire her, Judge? And she said, because she wasn't writing. And when when somebody, I guess somebody one of the court reporters, somebody went and told Judge she's not writing. And the judge went like this to look over her bench. And she was she was shopping like cold or something or other
Oh
on
my
her screen,
God.
and she was supposed to be writing on her machine.
Oh
And
my
so, and I'm
God.
like, I don't want to be the person to tell you this, but I have to. I have to tell you, she gave me tapes. She did give me tapes, and she did pay
Yeah.
me. But it was her signature on there, on
Yeah.
the thing, not mine.
Right.
Wow, what did she do read back?
Yeah. Maybe she just never had read back.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
That's unreal.
That's wild.
And then, but during that 7 years I was working, subbing for her, she would call and ask if she could borrow money from me because she didn't have enough to pay her rent. And I'm like,
She's shopping it all away.
okay. Yeah, I would give her, she would go, I would have to go to Kroger and send her something through Western
That's
Union
crazy.
or whatever.
There's a problem there for sure.
But Judge
Did she lose
like-
her license over it?
She's licensed, no, she's licensed and she's freelancing now. She can't get another thing, you know.
But she's freelancing?
She is freelancing.
She actually writing?
I guess. I don't know.
Wow.
I have a
That's
story
interesting.
about that.
That's scary.
Oh. I had to proof a transcript of a reporter out of the Houston area. And I was like, do you have the audio? Because none of the sentences make sense. Words are missing. Yeah, it was
Oh,
awful.
wow.
Yeah, and so she was just.
Was this a while back?
Yeah. About a year ago.
A new report? Oh, a year ago. Okay.
No, it wasn't a new reporter.
Okay. Oh,
So
wow.
we've been reporting for a while. Yeah.
Wow. And you know, when I was going through all that with my anesthesia stuff, and we realized I was writing stuff from outside the room and everything, I would do everything with the full tape.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I want to make sure that my stuff is
Right.
perfect because I know that I was having issues and I didn't even know that I was having issues. You know, so I did everything with the audio just to be sure. So that's just people like not caring about their job. That's just
That's crazy.
Get it perfect.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, because I always try to make everything as
Not
perfect as
right.
possible. That's
To
unreal.
lose that job because I know it. I know
That's
She
it.
was
unreal.
just recording it. And, you know, she would meet me and give me the tape, you know, and I'm like, but that only happened maybe 3 times. But, you know, I really, you know,
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
okay, I'll do it. I'll do
Wow,
it.
that's interesting.
I think it's because she she wasn't writing real time
Mhm.
on her on her computer. 'Cause
Yeah.
She didn't.
So
take
they
the
didn't catch
computer
it.
in.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, but she recorded it.
Oh, that's just so crazy.
I mean, if something happened to her recording, what was she gonna do?
I have no idea.
Oh, my God.
I have no idea.
That's
But
insane.
she was there for, Judge said she was there for 5 years.
Wow.
That's what I was wondering about when I first started, probably maybe 5 to 10 years in. Of course, I was in Austin, and I heard that, well, in Houston, we don't record anything. We just take it, attorney. And I said, really?
No
so-
way.
And I was going, who is this telling me that? What's your credibility for telling me that? And it kind of spread, and then somebody else told me that too. And I went, wow, where did those reporters come
I know,
from?
they must be really good, because yeah.
Is that, have you, since you're?
No, I've always recorded, and I triple record. I mean,
I
I
double,
usually,
yeah.
I usually, when I was doing depots, I had of course, my software, and then I would always have a digital recorder and my phone, and I would record on all three, and sometimes even on my writer, especially if I knew it was a really rough, whatever the case was really rough or
Yeah.
expert or something. And still in court, I have my computer. I have one recorder I use just for voir dire that I have stretched out on a big long audio cable. I record the voir dire out there because I stay in my seat and record and take it from my seat, and I have headphones in. Yeah, and then I have one for the bench for bench conferences, and so I can hear the judge. So I have sounds coming at me from 2 different headphones at all times. One from up here, one from out here, so that I hear everything going on. I worked hard to figure out a system that worked, and that works for me.
Well, if I ever had
And-
that setting, I'd be doing just.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
wireless mic. I stay at my desk,
Mhm.
well, I stayed at my desk.
Yeah.
I stay at my desk, and I have headphones to my little Martell
Mhm.
digital recorder that costs like $500 or $600.
Right.
That's worth every penny.
Mhm.
And I have a microphone this big, and I put it on the whatever you call it, and where the
Uh-huh.
The table where
Where the
the.
voir dire is, or
where
the
the dire is
panel
on
is.
the bench, and that's the little skinny thing.
Mhm.
And I put it there, and my gosh, it is so loud.
So good.
Mhm.
And I can hear everybody.
That's awesome.
Individual
That's
board either, they're nervous and they're doing,
Yeah.
I'm like, will you quit doing that, please? Because it
Yeah.
hurts my
Yeah.
ears,
Yeah.
They're doing this.
Yeah.
The only problem with the wireless mic is I'd have to replace it
Mhm.
with the battery,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
still worth
Right.
I think I paid like $135, $140 for the whole
Yeah.
set thing. They have what's that thing called? It has a little antenna sticking out.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
but it's worth
Yeah.
every penny. And then I was showing the other 2 court reporters on each side because I'm in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And I was showing, look at this, this is how it works. I want that. I want
Yeah.
that. Well, so now they have it too.
That's cool.
So it works great.
I never did use the wireless. I was experimenting, and I wanted the backups. So I have a Tascam.
I love my Tascam.
Tascam DM7 or DM5 or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the one I have up, but I have it sitting right where the witness would sit, right here, and it's got those 2 mics that are built into it. Then I have a mic strung from that that goes up to my judge on the bench, and that's my one. So that picks up all the voir dire up there. Then from my computer, I have one of those things that stretches out, and my USB mic is plugged into that. And then I have 2 daisy chained mics plugged into that go out up on the bench on both sides to catch the attorneys, and it'll pick up the judges and the attorney. So when the voir dire is over and everybody's coming up, then I put the other headphones on. So I have 3 sets of headphones up there, and so I flip them. And so then when it's the voir dire, I have a 25-foot cable that runs from where I'm sitting. We have carpet tape. It goes out. It goes to the middle, and I have an H2N recorder that I'm plugged into for the voir dire. And then if I'm having trouble hearing them with the headphones in, I say, okay, you're going to have to stand up from this point forward because I can't hear you. Please project so I can hear you. I have a microphone out there, project to it. And if the attorney is standing in front of the mic, sir, you got to move away from the mic so I can hear the voir dire. And that's what I do, and then I don't have to move every
That's
time.
what we do for individual voir dire, to bring them in one at a time.
Yeah.
They go up to that little.
The bar? Mhm.
Yeah, you need to stand right there. They don't
Mhm.
bring them to the bench.
Right,
You
right.
need to stand right there and answer the question.
Yeah.
Of course, the attorneys would be right there next to them and asking the questions, so I'd get them both.
Well, I know
That's
one
great.
thing. Yeah, one
That's
thing.
great.
You know that bar, because you have the judge up here, the court reporter down here somewhere, and you have that little space, and then you have that like you're talking about, that little bench thing.
Right.
So they would always come up and come around and be right in front. So when they would do bench conferences, I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And it was very stressful, and I finally told the judge, I said, one good thing Zoom has done is that you see how much better it is to hear when they are on the other side of that
Right,
bar. I said,
right.
from now forward, I don't want them in front of that bar anymore. I want them behind that bar, because then I can hear them
Yeah.
for bench conferences. And
Right.
if we need to take the jury out, let's take them out. I said, because I can't hear, and I don't like the white noise. It's very difficult for me to hear what's being said. And then they're facing away from me, so it's even more difficult. I said, so we got to work on this, Judge. We got to get this fixed. She goes, whatever you want to do, Pam. I was like, thank you, Judge.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to have our
Whatever
judges back us up.
Yes, so
You know, and
much.
these little old
Old
lawyers.
school.
My judge is so smart.
Mhm.
Granted, they frown on her because my judge has purple hair.
Ah, that's fun.
She's got purple.
That's fun. That's fun.
Purple hair.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's like, but they frown on that, you know.
It's not conservative. Old
That's
school
right. They
conservative.
frown on it, I'm like, but she's really cool. And she's
That's
got all
fun.
these earrings, you know, and
That's awesome.
she doesn't have any earrings on.
Good
her
for
nose.
her. She's being herself. That's awesome.
I'm like,
So I'll go back to my outline. So can I interrupt? This is a biggie. Biggie to ask the judge, can I interrupt? And when I do interrupt, who do I focus that interruption to? Because some judges want you to, when you interrupt, to say, Judge, I didn't get that. Would you ask them to repeat it? Some judges are very anal about you go through the judge. Other judges are like, you can turn to the witness and ask them, would you please repeat that? Or, Mr. Attorney, would you please repeat that? Some judges are fine with that. And that's one of the first questions I asked my judge. She goes, oh, you do whatever you need to do. You don't need to talk to me about it. I'm like, okay, so I just say, hey, could you please repeat that? You know, but some judges are very like, no, you talk to me. I will be the one to handle it.
Gotta
Power.
remember which judge you're in.
Yes, you
Yeah.
do. You do. Power trip thing, you know.
Yeah.
And just remember, the bailiff and the coordinator are your friends.
Yes.
Yes.
They hopefully you have a good one. I'm going to say this, and I don't mean this negatively towards all coordinators, but coordinators think we make too much money. They just do. They think they do way more than we do. And in some situations, in
They
some
do.
courts, they probably do.
Yeah, they
Not
do.
all courts, but in some, I think they probably do. And they're upset that you make that much money. And I remember hearing some coordinators talking one time when I was in my district court, and because court reporters were trying to get a raise in Harris County, and I happened to overhear, and me being kind of new and me being kind of vocal and not really knowing them, I said, hey, I hear what you're talking about. I said, can I have a discussion with you about this? Have a seat. And I said, what do you think we do? And I asked him to tell me, what do you think we do? Go ahead, tell me. And I had him say what we did, and I said, okay. I said, now let me expound on that. What do you do? Yeah, I'm like, what do you do? And I had them tell me what they did. I said, okay. I said, let me tell you what you didn't add on that we do. And I started naming all these things. It was like 100 more things, and their mouths were falling open. And they're like, you're up every night trying to, and I'm like, yeah, if they want a rough draft, I got to stay up and get it done. And I said, and then I have to do my records after 5. So, but you get paid extra for that. I said, yeah, but you get to go home at 5. I'm still
done
trying to
for the
get
day.
this out and get it done for the next day's court. So I might have gotten an hour's sleep. How much sleep did you get last night? And so by the time I went through all that stuff, they were like, wow, had no idea. And I said, now do me a favor. Pass that on to all the other coordinators so they'll shut up. I said, because they need to know that we do a lot more than you ever see here. You think we're in our office playing with stuff, but I said, we're preparing for the next day's court. I'm having to build a dictionary, make sure I have all the names in. I'm having to do research. I said, there's so much stuff that
You
we
have to
do.
read pleadings and see
Yeah.
what the hell briefs that they
Exactly.
brief. That, you know, you're like,
There's a lot of looking
Yeah,
at.
there's a
There's
lot of
looking
stuff we
at.
have to do. I said, and y'all don't have to do that. And I said, and here's another thing. I can do your job very easily, but you will never be able to do mine. And they're like, yeah,
and bailiffs are good too because you're like,
yeah, yeah,
tears are going
yeah.
down.
And they'll bring you water or whatever. Yeah.
Here.
I had the best, I've always had the best bailiffs. That's the one good thing. Had amazing bailiffs that took care of me, you know, like even in the old court, you know, he'd come in, you okay, you need anything? What
They're
can I do
really
to help
sweet.
you? My old
Yeah.
bailiff in my old court, he was amazing. He's gone now too. She's lost everybody almost. But he left too. But he used to come in my office and he go, "What can I do to help you?" Because she just piled a bunch of crap on you to do, and I know you've got an appeal to get out. What can I do? I said, "Well, do you know Microsoft Word? Yeah. What do you need?" And I would give him the stuff that she threw on my desk to do, so that I could get my appeal done. Because I'm on a deadline, you
Yeah.
know. And he knew that. He'd been around for 35 years in the court system. He was like, "You need to get your appeal out. What can I do to help you?"
That was really cool.
And he'd be like, "Close your door. I'm gonna tell you're gone. That you got sick and had to go home." I mean, and you know, he had my back. You know, so you be friends with your bailiff and your coordinator. Do what you have to do to be friends with them. You know, even the old coordinator that I was ticked off at in the old court, I still talk to him. We're still friends. He still bitches about her every day. He's the only one that's still there. Everybody else left. So I mean,
Subject,
you
I
know.
just want to mention something really quick
Yeah.
with regards to substitute reporters and bailiffs. You guys know that we communicate with each other. And so with regards to talking to them before they get there and them, you know, getting used to getting familiar with their surroundings and, like you said, the bathrooms where everything is, I told Pam that there's an incident that happened with a sub that I called in. She's a really nice girl, but she was kind of flighty. And my old judge, who she subbed for, was, like I mentioned to you guys, he was a stoic, serious guy. Just, you know, court was court, you know, follow the procedure, just the decorum, everything. That's who he is. Oh my gosh. So the substitute reporter comes in, and I said, "How did she do today?" Asked the bailiff, "How did she do?" We were texting each other. I'm like, "Did she get there on time? How did she do?" And he says, "Kathy, you might want to get somebody else next time." Because he said, well, what happened was she was busy. She was a busybody. And so she was touching on stuff. And then she got up and said something to the judge, and he's sitting there, like, he's looking at her like, what is going on? What's wrong down there? And so she was just touching things. It wasn't any, she was just a quirky person. Nice, she was a nice girl, that's why I called her. She was a nice girl, but they didn't vibe well. They didn't vibe. And so, yeah.
Personalities are big
huge
in
with,
court.
yeah. Oh my gosh. He was not feeling it.
Yeah.
He said no. And I asked him the next day, I said, well, Judge, how did it go? So he just gave me a look. And I already knew, okay, she's out.
She's out.
So that eyebrow lifted, he's like, I said, okay, you know.
It's important when you hire a sub that you hire somebody that is sort of similar to you. I mean, I think it's important to hire
That was
somebody that's
my
kind of like you.
mistake.
Like somebody that's, if you know your judge doesn't like to be talked to, just likes to get down to business and get done, don't hire a chatty Cathy.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
It
Don't
kind of
do
goes back
it.
to the code switching.
Exactly. It is like code switching. That's so true.
Oh
It's
my
so
gosh,
true. So
Lord.
true. Because everybody's a little different. So, you know, like I fortunately have not had to have a sub. Usually I have somebody else, you know, in the court do that for me. But if I did, I would make sure that I had, like Kathy has this amazing list, a deputy reporter list that she tells them this is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. I need to do that for if I'm ever gone. But in our courts, there's 16, we sub for each other and we kind of know, you know, so it's all the same kind of situation. But if I was to go sub for somebody else, I would want a form like that so I would know, okay, this judge doesn't like to talk. He wants to get down to business. He doesn't like you interrupting without like looking at him first. You know, I would want to know those things because I don't want to do something out of line that I get yelled at for in court and get embarrassed for.
Yeah.
Are your 16 courts all in one, kind of housed in one area?
We're on 4 floors and there's 4
It's the
courts
same
to a
building.
floor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all in
That's
the
good.
Justice Building. We're on floors 8 through 11, and there's 4 courts per, and then we can just go, you know, switch for each other.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
when we need to. And you know, a lot of us are working from home, so they'll call and say, "Hey, who's up at the courthouse today?" And sometimes we can just zoom in if the judge is cool with us zooming in, and they don't have like, you know, hardcore evidence that we need in our hand. You know, I have them bring me, and here I go with the knows, I gotta stop that. So I have them bring me the exhibits, my judge wants them on a CD, because when we turn our stuff in Harris County, they want our stuff on a CD, not a thumb drive. And I'm not gonna take the time to take it off of a thumb drive and put it on a CD, that's not my job, that's their responsibility. So one of the reporters was telling me they were bringing stuff on a thumb drive. I go, oh no, girl, you just call them up and tell them this isn't working for me. You need to put this on a CD because they don't accept this, and I'm not copying this for you because then it's not really the exhibit. If you're having to copy it, that's not the exhibit. And so, and in our case, they want it on a CD. I said, so you just tell them to put everything on a CD just like normal. Nothing's changed. You're just on Zoom. But the decorum and everything is still the same. So why do they think they can do these things? I said, you just say no, girl. You say no. And she's like, oh, I'm really hard. I said, girl, learn the word no. It ain't happening. Because I'll do that in my court. I'm like, no, it's not working like that. Mm-mm. No, and I'll look at the judge and she goes, what she said. Mm-mm. We ain't doing that. Mm-mm.
One more thing before, Pam,
yeah.
I've got to mention this. She mentioned coordinators a minute ago. And I brought this up at our last when we were in Houston. My coordinator, you guys, I had a job that I did, and I'm usually pretty good with payment. You know, I've never had a real problem with getting paid. So I had this situation to come up, and I had an attorney to request a record. And then, of course, I notified the opposing counsel to let them know, hey, you know, your guy is needing this by Monday. So she calls me back, and she says, oh, can you get this for him by 12 o'clock tomorrow? I'm like, oh, my God, I don't know. Let me see. I've got to get my proofreader lined up, because that means I'm going to do an overnight. And so I told her, I said, let me find out. So I told her, let me push it. We'll figure it out, because you're telling me he really needs it. And I sent her the form. I sent her the request for reporter's record form. I said, fill this out, send it back to me. She hadn't done it. But we were corresponding, communicating through email. And she said, well, what time can you have it tomorrow? I said, well, wait, it's got to be accurate. So she said, can you have it by 12? I said, okay, we can do 12 o'clock. So I work all night, you guys, on this record. And thank God it was under 100 pages, but I was exhausted. Got it, you know, my proofreader, got everything done. The next day, I said, well, I haven't seen I didn't mention the form to her. I said, your record's ready. And when I sent her the fee, because, you know, it's a rush, right? You guys know it's going to be double the rate. So she says, it was like $500. She says, oh, he didn't know that it was going to be this much. We're going to pass.
Oh,
And I said, hang on a second. Let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly.
Yeah, really.
Are you now saying that he is not going to need this record? Because you were very specific with me yesterday. You said to me that not only did he needed it by 12 o'clock. So I just need for you to tell me through this email, because I'm already pissed off, because I already know, oh my God, she didn't fill the form out. I'm already,
Right.
you know. And she said, yeah, that's what we mean. That was all that was in there. You guys, and now here's the thing. I'm a stickler for filling that form out. Since they didn't fill the form out, I could not hold her feet to it. Now, I did have the communication through the email that was kind of in writing, but the form was not filled out. And so I said, I'm going to get burned on this, but it's okay. I said, it's a hard lesson for me. It's okay. A week or two later, I had another request, and it was a rush. It was an expedite, and she needed it in a few days, and it ended up being $1,200. And I said, okay, let me get this form right here now. So I sent the form out, and she filled the form out, and she said, don't give us an estimate. I don't need an estimate or anything. We're gonna get you paid. Just, I need that record. I need it by Monday. I said, okay, fill the form out. She filled the form out. Got the form filled out. The record ended up being about $1,200, $1,208. And so I told her, I said, your record's ready. And she says, I didn't get a response. And I said, I'm not, I waited like a day, and I said, I haven't heard from you guys. I said, your record's ready. And so she responded, and she said, okay, we're trying to see if the client still needs it.
Oh, no.
And I said, I picked up the phone, and I said, I'm not sure I understand. She says, oh no, we're just trying to see, we looked at his estate, and we're trying to see, he doesn't have it like immediately in his estate, but we're gonna get it. I said, of course you are, because you fill the form out, and I've already worked on this, and I'm already pissed off about the other one. And so,
Building up.
oh my gosh, and so, what ended up happening, you guys, a month passed by. But let me tell you what happened in between. I was communicating all throughout with her, and she said, Kathy, this is totally my fault. She says, I did not figure in. And I'm thinking to myself, are you guys not aware of what an estimated a rush cost? Are they not? Hello, it's already $6 a page normally. So if you want a rush or an expedite, it's going to double the rate.
Right.
Where are you guys? What rock are you living? Where are you? So anyway, she said, it's totally my fault. I'm so sorry. She says, we're going to get you paid. We're going to get you paid. So what happened, they had an upcoming hearing. Their hearing ended up being the day that they were going to have their hearing. The coordinator, I'm going back to my original point. I talked to the coordinator and I said, I said, do you know that they still have not paid for this record? And she's like, and I didn't even know that she called and she did what she did. All I saw was a courier that morning with a check.
Wow.
And and she came in, when she came in, she said, she says, I spoke to them. I found out later on that she had got on their cases, and she says, you guys better bring that girl a check. She's been waiting a month, and you have a hearing. You can't have another hearing in here. You owe her. And so it was crazy. I ended up, and I never really talked to the judge about that kind of thing, because that's my thing. You know, that is not the judge's thing. That was my business with regards to them requesting a record. They filled out my form, but I brought it to her attention at one time. And I said, Judge, normally I would not say anything to you about this. I said, but they do have a hearing coming up tomorrow, and they owe me $1,200. She's like, she was mad. She said, you better get paid next time. Don't you do anything anymore ever without getting paid. And I told Pam, she says, honey, I get my money up front.
If they tell me they want to, I don't do anything. I was told by other reporters, don't do anything in this county without getting paid first.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
And so what I do is I will send out, as soon as they tell me what they want, I will send out an invoice and it says estimated, and it has to be paid before I even begin. And so I say, I take Venmo. You can send me a cashier's check, or you can send a courier with a law firm check. I will not take personal checks. You can pay me cash if you want, but I'm not take personal checks. It's because I was having people send their client in with personal checks. I don't know this client from Adam, and I'm like, no, you need to go get that as a cashier's check or bring me cash. And so I'd make them like bring it back, and I'm saying, I'm not starting on this. So if your rush doesn't matter, I don't care. I'm not starting on it. And so I need to know when you need it by, and then whether I can get it out is going to determine when you get me the check. And so if they, like, I had one not long ago, and I told her, that one I'm trying to work on, I said, bring me the check. So that was on a Thursday. She called me. I said, just have it delivered to me on Friday at work, because I was going to be off on Monday. So didn't get the check. She said, I'm going to send it through express mail or something. I said, okay. I said, make sure you send it to my house and not to the courthouse, because I won't get it. And so she sent it to my house. I didn't get it till Tuesday when I got home at 5 o'clock. And so it's still being worked on. Just because you want to rush and you didn't pay me on time doesn't mean I'm going to drop everything I have to do, because I said I have seminars coming up. I'll be busy on the weekends. I won't have time to do this. So get it to me now where I have time to work on it. And I refused to work on it that weekend because I wasn't paid. So I said, you'll learn.
I never figured that would happen, because I knew the attorney. And
I
I'm
don't
like,
trust
I'm like,
anybody.
you're in here all the time. Surely you're not going to stiff me.
No, I don't trust
You got to
anyone.
come
You
before my
can't trust
judge.
them.
You can't. You can't.
No,
That
you
was
can't
that
trust
was a
them.
hard lesson.
And I don't care who they are. They can be your best client.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh my
trust. I
It's
make
their
them pay
client
me.
is
Yeah.
what the
It's
problem is.
business.
It may not be the attorney,
Yeah.
but it's their client.
But still, I make them pay me up front. They can get it up front from their client. If they keep putting it off, that's on their client.
That's-
But your rush doesn't constitute me dropping everything. Because I still have court every day, and I have things I have to get done. I have seminars. I'm not dropping everything for you until I get the money in my hand.
Yep.
And then I'll do whatever I have to. And if you want it in less than 14 days, it's double. If you want it in a week, it's triple. That's just the way it works.
That was a first for me. That was a hard lesson, and it was, I literally made an assumption. I said, I see this guy all the time, surely, he's got upcoming hearings, I didn't think that would be an issue, but it was an issue.
Now she knows not
So,
to
oh my
trust
God,
anybody.
no.
You watch, they're gonna call you and ask for the
Right.
transcript.
If it can happen, or if you can
Right.
delay it,
Right.
yeah.
I'm like, you get it to me at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'll do my best to have it out by this time. But that's triple to you.
How do you estimate? Like,
I go and look and see how many
Yeah,
pages it
pages.
comes out to, and then I add my beginning and end pages, because that's like what, 10
Extra,
pages,
yeah.
and then I added 20 pages to it, just
Okay.
to book for
Just to
paragraphing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always add like 20 pages for paragraphing and everything, and then if it comes out to where if it's in 3 or 4, 5 pages, I don't worry about it. But if I'm real off, one time I was off, really off, because I didn't remember it being that easy of a case. And I was off by like $40. So I sent the guy a check
Yeah,
for
I'll
40
just
bucks.
send
He was
them.
like,
I always
you
do that.
could have kept that. I'm like, oh no, it was only this many pages.
Right.
I'm going to be
I send
fair
the
to
money
you.
back. If I
And he was
overestimate, I'll send it back.
appreciative. He was
Yeah.
super appreciative. I haven't had to really do that. That was like one, and like this last one I did, I was probably 10 pages off, and that would have been like $100. But I'm like, I'll give it to him this time. I'll catch him next time. I just try to be fair, and
so do you
And
guys
just
have
guess.
like a separate business set up?
I do. I have an
And you run it
LLC.
through that business, so if you have to give a check back or have to write.
I have an
balance back.
LLC, and so
Okay.
I have them make all the checks out to my LLC.
Okay,
And that way it goes into a separate business account, and it's in there, and if I need to take it out, it's in there.
gotcha.
And mine is just personal, but I'll put like all the information as far as cause
Tax
number, just the
returns.
style of case,
Yeah.
Right.
so they know what it is for their tax purposes.
Well, and you'll see here, we keep charts. I have a chart, so I know everything that I've taken since I started, because I have a chart with all the basic
I
information.
love that chart.
And then I have another chart on stuff that's been asked for, and everything that's asked for in 2019 is on a chart, for 2020 is on a chart, and I have things highlighted. It's in yellow when they haven't paid me yet. They've asked for it, I've sent the invoice, I have check marks, I've notified the other side, I have X's for everything, and it's in yellow. Once they pay me, it goes paid by check, whatever, on this date.
Is that a chart in Word or?
It's in
PDF?
Word, and,
Okay.
and I will send you all that. It's part of the packet, the stuff that I'm sending you.
My husband's a math man. He was a electrical engineer for Parkland Hospital, and he taught math and all that. Anyway, he's a mathematician. I don't do anything.
Oh, you're
I'm
lucky.
like, here.
I had to create all mine. I created all of them
He
and
does that. He
based
puts the
on
clause
like
numbers, he puts
issues
the
that I
amount.
had, because when I started, we used case management, I think that was the name of the program, in civil court. But when I switched over, they didn't use that over there. It wasn't given to us. And I'm like, oh my God, all my stuff for the last 10 minutes is on this system. So I had no access to it. And so I'm like, this sucks, now what? So I had saved, thank God, all my papers because I had pages for each thing I did. So I just went through and said, okay, fine. So the first couple of weeks I was in my new court, we didn't have any trials or anything. The judge said, do whatever you need to do. And I said, well, I'm gonna go get organized. So I got into my office and I just started this chart, and it's kind of grown from that. Like, okay, it'd be better if I had this information, and then I have the info on how many exhibits they were. Did I take them to, does the clerk have them? Do I have them? Has it been ordered before? Was it appealed? So I have this whole long thing that I have, and everything's in it, and then I just do the check marks and put the information in, and then it comes in handy because then if they call me and say, hey, do you have any records for this date for this case, I can look it up by case name, attorney name, cause number. I got all these different ways in Excel to go look for. It's an Excel spreadsheet, the one is, and I can go look for all that. And it's just easy to find, and then I can say, yeah, I have it. And then sometimes I even put the estimated pages in there. I don't all the time, but then I can give them a quick estimate, add in the pages for beginning and end, and I always add 20 pages. I always just do that because paragraphing always adds.
Yes.
And so I'm like, 20 pages is a good
Yeah.
thing to add, and then if I'm off a bunch, I'll give them a check back.
No, I don't have time to sit there and do paragraph, when they're starting a new
Yeah,
subject.
me too.
I
yeah.
have, pages.
Yeah, I'm doing all I can to hang on just to
Yeah,
write it,
writing,
Yeah.
like, I don't have
Yeah.
time to.
And there's times I don't have time, I don't have time
have
to
time
paragraph because
to
I'm just.
Yeah,
writing
you're just
back.
writing like the wind. You don't
Yeah.
have time to think about anything.
They're talking so fast.
Yeah.
Like,
So this is another thing. So how are you interrupting in Zoom? Like I said, I do this, to get their attention.
I just say, excuse me.
But do they hear you? That's the thing. They
Most of
do.
the time they do, and if they don't, I'm like, excuse me.
But you're freelance too,
Yeah.
right? See, in court we have more parties on,
Yeah.
and it just becomes a big conglomerated mess.
It does,
And
oh my
So when
gosh.
you do this and you don't get what you say, you just say, this is the last thing
Yeah.
that I got.
I say, this is what I have. I go like this to grab her attention and I just try to keep writing and hold it in my head. And then she'll see that movement and then she'll say, hey, wait. Everybody stop. And then, Pam, what was the last thing you had? And then I just read what I had and then they carry on
That's
from there.
exactly what I do.
Yeah.
So you don't tell whichever party needs to start carrying on, you just say, this is the
This is
last
what
thing
this is where I stop. This is what I have.
Okay.
and I
then
just
they
read,
just pick it
yeah.
up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. So-and-so, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And then I give them the look.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What are we talking about? So here's another thing. So if you're going to sub in there for the reporter, as the deputy reporter, are you going to be required to do the directed verdict paperwork and the jury charge? See, when I was in civil court, I didn't have to do jury charges because the
They do it
coordinator
off the
did
record.
those. Yeah, the coordinator did those. And in my new court, I'm responsible for the jury charges. So I go and get the information off of the system, like what were they charged with, all that, and I bring up the blank. We have a whole jury charge file. So I go into the file and I see, okay, they were charged with this, this, and this. So I go pull those up, create the jury charge. You just fill in the blank and cut and paste things. And then before the trial, I give that to both sides and the judge.
Right.
so they can look at it at breaks. And then they go through and make whatever wording changes they want to make, add whatever they want, and they'll say, Pam, can you go add 20.1 or whatever it is? And I go look and see if it's in the system. If not, I send a massive email out to all the other court reporters. Anybody got this? 20.01, and they'll upload it, and then I'll go put it in and copy paste, take it back, and we do that all the way through the trial until we get to the end, and then they'll do a final double. I'm printing this constantly, so I'm leaving it up in my office on my computer so I can go in and add, cut and paste things, and then when they're all finished, then it's like it's supposed to be, I'll print finals, because one goes back to the jury, and then the others go to both sides, and then they tell me it's all correct. The judge has one, the jury has one.
Does it get read to the jury?
It does.
Okay.
That's
But
what
then they
that's
take
what
it-
the judge. Yeah, that's what the judge reads to the jury for the jury charge.
Got it.
And then it goes back with the jury.
Okay.
And sometimes we do directed verdict. So my judge has me have the directed verdict paperwork ready. So I have to do that before trial too.
What's a directed
There's a jury trial, and then they may ask, Judge, we want you to go ahead and do a directed verdict on this, so the judge can make the determination right then and there.
Usually it's denied.
Yeah, it's usually denied because they want it to go before the jury. So usually it's denied, but I have it ready, and just in case, so it's ready for her to sign, and we can be done.
My judge does all the, like the long jury charges that are, you know,
Yeah.
24 pages.
God, thank God I've never had one that
It's-
long.
Well, how long
Heavy
are
oil and gas.
It depends.
Oil and gas.
I think I've had one as
contract.
long as 7 pages before. It was
Up to
the
20.
guy had like 4
Mine were always,
cases.
mine were always at least
35
Really?
pages.
Oh, wow.
36 pages.
Never had any that long.
It's crazy.
Wow.
They went over every single word and
Wow.
definition of every.
Yeah, they go over everything, and I also do the jury letters. So in my court, because my coordinator is
Our
crazy
coordinator
busy,
does that.
mine's just too big. She's got too much on her plate. So I do the jury letters. So typically when they go to the other building and the bailiff goes to get the jury, about that point is when it's sent to the clerk. So the clerk sends me the copy of all the people, the panel, 36 people panel, and then I run in my office. We have a system, it's pretty easy, and I just go hit the things and it puts it all in, prints all the letters for me on the judge's letterhead.
For them to take
And
the word for
I don't
the
even
excuse.
put them,
Oh.
I don't even put them, I don't even do the envelopes, I just do the letters. And then I take them to the judge, and while she's sitting up there, she starts signing them. While we're doing the voir dire, she signs them all. Then when the voir dire's over, she just passes them out to everybody except the 6 people chosen. And then while we're doing the trial, at some point when I have a free minute, I go do the one for the people that were picked, those 6
Right,
people,
right.
with an envelope. And then I give those to the judge, she signs them, she stuffs them for me, and then we either give them to them at the end of the trial if I've had time to do it, or we mail them out. So
Yeah.
one of the
I think our
two.
coordinator just stamps it with her signature.
Yeah, we take it to
Each one.
our judge wants to personally sign every single one of them. And as they're leaving, she wants to shake every hand. So yeah, so that we do everything very personalized.
Yeah, we had President Bush and Mrs. Laura Bush come and serve jury duty
Oh wow,
in our court.
that's
And it's
interesting.
like, and he's so nice. He's we
that's
had our
cool.
jury lined up, and you know he was excused, of course.
Right. I would hope so,
Might
right?
have
So he was walking down, with,
Maybe.
you know, and the judge's elevator is from here to right over there from my office, because when they get off the elevator, that's the first thing they see is my office. And they were coming up the elevator, and they're all in suits. They get off the elevator, and I'm like, what is going on? Well, to begin with, I get there at 6:30, 6:15, 6:30 every morning, and I see this guy in a suit going up and down the hall. I say, excuse me, because I'm usually the first one there, and whatever.
What are you
And
doing?
I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah. Is that
And
security?
it's not an attorney.
security
I recognize.
detail?
I'm like, excuse me, can I help you? And he goes, I'm sweeping. And I'm like,
You don't have a broom
excuse
in
me,
your
and I
hand.
forgot Bush was going to be there that day. And so he goes, I'm sweeping. And he goes, you know, President Bush is going to be serving jury duty. I'm like, I completely forgot. I go, sweep away. I go, sweep away. So then he comes up, you know, and we were in a jury trial, of course, and the jurors were lined up to go be seated after we picked the 12. And so they were lined up in the hall. And here comes President Bush, and he was so sweet. He went and shook each one of those
Oh,
jurors
that's nice.
that, you know, talking to them and everything.
Oh,
That
wow.
was really nice. And then Miss Bush, she was there, I think 2 years later, she came over and with Christmas tree, we have a Christmas tree in the
Oh.
hallway, and she let all of us take a picture
Oh, that's nice.
with her. So I got pictures in there.
That's cool.
That's
That's cool.
She is so tiny. I thought I was little back then. She looks really, really.
That's awesome. So here's the biggie. What do you do with evidence or exhibits? As a sub, what do you do with them?
I would think
Don't
you
you
give
give
them
them
with
to
the,
the-
with
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say, don't you
official.
leave them with the official?
Yeah, you hope that the official left you instructions and that you have access to her office to be able to put them in. So hopefully the bailiff will stay long enough. My bailiff's always out of there as soon as they can be.
Right.
But you want to make sure the bailiff stays with you so that you can put the exhibits where the court reporter asks you to put them. If there is no official, what do you do with them? You know?
I would think you would retain them, keep custody
Yes.
of them, and
Yeah.
then when you can get back with the court reporter, give them to them.
Yeah,
Or
well,
would you
there's
give them
there's
the
a
clerk?
most of them. There's a form that you fill out, and it would go to the clerk's office, but not the clerk in your court. In at least in Harris County, it goes to the district clerk's office, and so there's different people that handle those that you would give. So you have to find out that information. Where does it go? Who does it go to? I usually keep stuff in my office until, because I always think, oh, maybe they'll appeal. So I kind of keep them in my office until I'm sure it's not going to appeal or whatever, and then
That's
I'll
usually
fill
for
out
about
the
a year.
form. Yeah.
That's what you.
Yeah.
Do they not
But-
scan them for you?
Um,
Because they're
A
not
lot
like
of times
a,
you have physical evidence. you know.
Yeah, physical evidence.
Like, it only that you
yeah.
can't scan.
Yeah.
Like a
Scan it.
couch or a
When it
machete.
gets
or-
appealed, then you scan it.
Yeah.
A gun.
Once
They
it
have
gets
what,
appealed.
$96,000
I think so.
Appeal or
bills
something,
in
depending
a
on what kind of case
clear
it is.
plastic bag.
Wow.
Yeah.
what?
Nice.
The girl next to me had marijuana 20 minutes ago.
Heroin.
Yeah, the girl next to me, yeah, she had a big, but she was going to come sniff this. I said, that looks disgusting. It was like old marijuana, and it was all yucky looking. I was like, ew, that even smells gross. And it permeated the whole suite. I was like, that is nasty. Can't you put that somewhere else? It stunk so bad. It was
I had a
bad.
rifle that
Ugh.
killed somebody.
Wow.
I did another murder trial. I don't know why.
There's
I
a lot of
was-
murder trials.
Murder trials.
Murder trials.
He was describing this guy that killed his girlfriend that had 5 kids, and the picture was in the courtroom on my desk of her 5 kids and her,
Oh.
and facing the jury. And I'm like, well, I never put the picture on my desk in here, but anyway.
Oh,
I had
wow.
the rifle that he shot his girlfriend with and tried to bury her with. He was so messed up on drugs. He got sheets, and Dr. Pirwani, ME, he went in and found that she had so many 5 or 6 gunshot wounds to her stomach or whatever.
Wow.
Anyway, he was so messed up. He's like, and he lives in this little trailer, and the rifle was in his trailer, and he's like writing his cousin in prison about what happened. Idiot. The sheriff gets on the witness stand and he's reading, hey,
Oh my
cuz,
gosh.
how have you been? I hope everything is well. He's reading about what happened, right?
Oh,
He goes,
wow.
cuz nobody ever comes to visit me out there. And then all of a sudden, all my friends wanted to come stop knocking on my door. You want to go to the Dallas Cowboy game? Let's go to the Dallas Cowboy game. And so he's like, sure, I'll go to the Dallas Cowboy. And that's when the guy that shot his girlfriend told him the story at the game. He's the one that reported it, of course.
Wow.
His friend said, told him what happened. And then he described that he went down, he put her in his truck until in the morning, and she woke up with a death smile on her face. I'll never forget those words, the death smile on her
Does
face.
smell, ugh, creepy.
Then he had to go get a wheelbarrow to go bury her. He's telling all this, reading this off a letter to his
That
cousin
is
in prison.
crazy.
So, and then we had, it was in Weatherford, the construction on the roof at the courthouse in Weatherford. He's describing that how he was, the sheriff was going to where he had buried her, which he didn't. He only dug this much, and the body was just still on top.
Oh my God.
It was horrible. And then all of a sudden, the sheriff was like, I started going down, and I think I was starting to get closer because he could hear the flies, zzz,
Oh, gross.
and the buzzards going up, and so he's describing all this, and then all of a sudden, boom, have the roof thing, whatever the panels fall down in the
Oh
courtroom.
my
He
God.
goes,
Wow.
I think this is a good time to take a break.
Wow.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my
He got
That's-
life.
That's sick.
But anyway, as far as the evidence we're talking
Yeah.
about, as far, I couldn't take the gun with me,
Right.
you know,
So you do take a picture and mark it?
take a
Yeah.
picture and mark the exhibit.
And the physical evidence typically goes, your bailiff or your bailiff takes you down. There's usually a place in the courthouse where that stuff goes for the
Yeah.
sheriff's office.
Yeah.
And the bailiff will walk you down. But there's forms you have to fill out for evidence. And you
These
fill
are
out the form.
important.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
important. You
Oh
fill
my
the
gosh.
forms out. One of the most absolutely important things you need to do as a deputy, and I've been guilty because I didn't know about this ahead of time, and I subbed in quite a few courts, but I didn't know about this. There is a deputy reporter statement that anytime you fill in, and however many cases you do that day, so if you do 20 cases that day, you need 20 deputy reporter statements. And you need to hand them to the clerk so they can file them with the records of the case.
Saying
So,
that you were the
yeah,
court
saying
reporter
you were
that
the
sat in there.
reporter, because they need to know who was there, because here's the problem right now. So my old court, I'll give this as an example. I had that girl who's there that's pretending to be a court recorder. She sent out an email to me and asking me, somebody called for a record. So she messaged me seeing if I had any record. Well, I thought she knew I was only there from January to October 25th. And apparently she didn't know that. And so she's asking me about records that happened in January of 2020. And I said I was not there then, so that's not me. You need to get with the clerk and find out who was there. So it's really important that that deputy reporter statement's filed, because then they can just go into the file of that case and go, oh, on that day, this was the reporter for that job, that hearing, that record. And so then whoever is new in that court can go find it. Well, what typically happens, when I came into that court, the reporter that was there before me kept books. And there was big red books. There was a big book for 2018, 2019, 2017, 2018. The problem with the books is you got to go dig. If the attorney doesn't remember the actual date of the hearing,
Yeah, you get
well,
one
it was
page
somewhere. It
per
was in
page.
June, but I don't remember the date. You got to look at that whole book of June and go through every page and try to find out if there was anything taken, because you don't know.
Right.
And then I also would call and say, hey, would you check your records and see if you had anything for this case in June of 2018? Well, then she's got to go. Some reporters keep all their stuff by date. And if the person that needs a record doesn't remember what date the hearing is, they have to go dig through their files. That's why I keep my big chart, because I can go back and look by cause number, date, attorneys, that
Substitute court
information.
reporter,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
easy to find the information. Otherwise, you got to go dig through your files. And then I keep all my files just for help, to help me find things. If it's a docket, I call it docket and the date. And all the files are in that one thing. And then if it's a trial, date. All the files are there. If it's a motion hearing, motions and the date. Voir dire, and the date. I keep all those things separate, so that if somebody calls, hey, I need the voir dire from this date, I can go look and go, okay, this was a voir dire from that date. There was 5. Maybe I took 2 that day. Sometimes we might take 2 trials in a day if they're short. I can go, okay, well, here's the ones I have. Here's the cause numbers. Well, no, we didn't do anything on that date. But maybe they gave me the wrong date. I can still go look it up because I know what the case is. So I try to do multifaceted so I can find it in different ways, because sometimes the paralegals are given wrong information. Because I know on this case, they asked me if I'd taken something, I forgot what the date was. It was back March of 2019. Well, I was there then, but we hadn't taken any records at that point. And I'm like, well, no, there was no record. And they insisted there was a record. And I'm like, no, there is no record. I went back through all my papers just to be sure I didn't skip one. I called the clerk, because they're supposed to keep a record of what was taken. And we had poor clerks at that point, and they weren't keeping a record. So I went back through my paper notes. I went back through my stuff in my files. I said, there is nothing. They are wrong. Well, come to find out, they were wanting it for 18. March of 2018, but they had told her 19, which is when I was there. And so 18, then I had to go back and find 18 once she realized it was the wrong year.
Oh my God.
So, so all that stuff, it's just good to have all that, because then you can go back and look by case.
Yeah.
And then you would have known, oh yeah, I wasn't here at that point. But it's very important for those to be there, because if somebody comes in after you, or they don't have anybody in that court, they can easily go look that case up in the system for whatever county you're in, and they can find, oh yeah, there was a record and this is who it was. This is who was there on that day. And they don't have to be calling 5 million people, because that's a pain in the rear when you're busy. Talked about that. This is something I do, and I talked to Kathy about this. Are you using this now too? A lot of people are telling me they want this. So and I didn't come up with this, a reporter in district court in Harris County came up with this, because something happened to her, and she was accused of giving an exhibit to the jury, but it wasn't her fault.
You have to sign that.
The bailiff grabbed it. No, what I have them do is, so at the end of any trial, what I do is I have this laminated on pink paper, and I give it to both sides, and I say, okay, I want y'all to follow these instructions. I want you to examine your own exhibits and make sure they're all in this book that you're about to give me for the jury. Each of you examine your own exhibits. And then I also want you to check and make sure things are redacted that are supposed to be redacted. Then I want you to exchange exhibits, and I want you to go through them and make sure they're correct.
That's what my
I said,
judge makes
yeah.
me do.
And I make them, and so I make them do it. It's on them, because we were writing. We don't remember what was supposed to be redacted and all that.
Right.
I'm not going to remember that. So I make them, the onus is on them. It's their case, right? So I make them do that. And then I say, okay, then you're going to come back and you're going to give me these 2 books. They're going to go right here on my desk. And each of you are going to say this on the record before we end. I'm not going off record until this is done. So I sit there and wait for them to do all this. And the judge may be off the bench, but I'm not off the record. I'm not doing anything until this is set on the record.
That's what happened to me. I went ahead, what I did, my judge always tells me, go out there, make sure they exchange their exhibits. Okay, fine. Jury sitting back there. So they're taking this, and he goes, hold on just a minute, I need to go ask my paralegal who was out in the hallway.
Right.
Well, while she was out there, this attorney's like, we didn't agree on this, we didn't agree on that.
Yeah, they're
He
pulling
was
stuff out.
freaking taking
Yeah.
shit out of there.
Yep,
Sorry,
yep.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
Just taking it out of there. And I'm like, what are you doing? It was over, I said, it was, we had an agreement on, I don't remember all this. And so the attorney walks in. I said, no, you stop. So the other attorney walks in, he goes, what are you doing? What is he doing? Asking me. I said, he's taking stuff out that you made an agreement. We didn't make no such agreement. I said, stay right here. I need to go talk to the judge. I need to go get the judge. And I'm like, you're not going to believe what's going to happen. You're not going to believe what's going to happen. You don't believe what's happening out there.
Speak up.
You're not going to believe what's happening out there, Judge. He's taking exhibit. Who is? I told her who was a defendant's attorney was. She comes in there and she's like, you guys need to get she was cussing, get it together, put everything back, and we're going to go back on the record and we're going to see what was taken out, because apparently there wasn't an agreement for you to take anything out. So you need to put it back. But can you believe that?
That's why I did this, because I had this
They
happen
are
to
so
me.
tricky. These
Yes.
attorneys are so tricky.
You can't trust
You gotta
them.
watch every.
Yeah. And that's why I do it at the very end, and I give them this on laminated paper, and I have them do it in front of me, and I ask the judge, sometimes my old judge, she would leave while they were doing this, and I'm like, I'm not off the record until this is done. And so they would do this, and I also told the bailiff, you're not to pick up anything off of my desk until I tell you what to pick up, because there's all this stuff there,
Right, right.
and some of it's not admitted. And so I'm like, don't pick it up until, and so I have them do everything they're supposed to do, exchange and all that. Then they put it in front of me, and then they read this for the record, and then I say, okay, now we're off. And I say, bailiff, here you go. And I physically hand him what they just put on my desk. And that way the onus is off of me, it's on them.
Right.
So if something gets back to the jury that's not supposed to be there, it's on them, not on me, because that's why I have them read this on. So this is what I was doing to cover myself.
And yeah, another thing, and this happened to me, just happened to me, I couldn't believe it. All the binders went back to the jury for deliberations. So I made sure everything was okay, whatever. So it goes all the way back. Okay, a year later, maybe it was a little bit over a year later, the case gets appealed, okay? I go get all the binders. The jury takes stuff out of the binders,
Oh, no.
and everything was supposed to be Bates labeled.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And when the bailiff went to go get, all the binders and stuff, I told her, when it got appealed, I said, y'all are gonna have to, I don't know what goes in what, because they were exhibit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some stuff in there that was, when I went in there to get the exhibits, they were spread out all over the table. They weren't, from now on, when they go back to deliberate, you tell them, do not take anything out of here.
Yeah.
Don't take anything out of the exhibits.
I do that too. They're not to,
Because
they're
they
not to
will do
remove
that
anything.
because they're all looking,
Yeah. They're not to remove it. out of the
It was
books.
a complete mess. I was like,
She's
oh my
like, I never want to be in court ever. I'm never subbing ever. I see that look.
Because I mean, and
Yeah.
especially if they aren't Bates labeled,
Yeah,
how are you supposed to know what order they go in?
you're not.
I mean, you can't memorize what order they go in.
I'm too busy, like she said, I'm too
Yeah.
busy, you're writing stuff
Too busy
down.
doing your job. That's not my job. That part is not my job. That's why I leave it to them to do their job, because they're the ones who know, or they're paralegal, whoever, but it's not on me. I'm not doing it. I'm
The
making
only
them do
way
it.
excuse me, the only way I can see you really seeing what number it was in the record. Now, I'll show you plaintiff's exhibit, whatever.
Yeah.
You describe that, boom, but who's gonna do all that?
Yeah, no way, not doing that. No
Yeah.
time.
I was gonna say, do we have time to go back in?
No, and you're
Look,
tired.
search
At
for
the end of the
this
day, you're tired. You don't want to deal
Those
with that.
jurors are tired, they don't want to be there because,
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
they're
that's true.
tired.
It's true. So here's a good one. An attorney has ordered a record now. You subbed for somebody, and now somebody ordered the record. Now what? Now what do? How do you know how much to charge?
You charge whatever the official.
What is the appeal procedure? Should you be notified by the Court of Appeals or the official reporter that the appeal has been filed? How do you know the due date? If your county, do you know if your county or state requires an info sheet that's turned into the Court of Appeals? What do you do at this point? I know. She said call Pam. Call Kathy. Call Kathy. Call Kathy. So there are a lot of good questions, right?
Yeah.
So first thing you should do is what? If there's an official, ask her or him. Ask them, what's the procedure? How much do you charge? I always want to charge what the official's charging, because you don't want to mess up the system they got going. So you want to charge the same as what they're charging.
That's just
Right.
professional courtesy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Professional courtesy. You want to find out if there's an info sheet you have to fill out. Usually if there's an official, she finds out there's an appeal, she's going to contact you, right? Or he or she are going to contact you and let you know there's been an appeal filed and that you took the record on this particular day.
And what volume it is.
Yeah,
if it
what
was
volume?
5 days. or-
Exactly.
Ah, that's right. Because you
Yeah.
have to do your master index.
Right.
Right. And if you're not the one who took most of them, or you didn't take the first one, you won't be doing the master index.
Oh,
Whoever
Yeah,
took
you
the
won't
first
do it.
volume.
okay.
will
Does
And
do
the
of
it.
course, the
master
volumes, the exhibits, if you have, voluminous amount of exhibits, that'd be volume, whatever, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
Right,
whatever.
because the exhibits are their own separate volumes.
Right.
Okay.
And plus,
Mhm.
I don't know what y'all charge, I charge 50 cents a page for copy. But I'm thinking about going to $1 a page
For
for the
exhibits, you mean?
exhibits.
Oh,
For
for-
the exhibits, you know why? Because you have to bookmark them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put plaintiff's exhibit 1, plaintiff's exhibit 2, plaintiff, and you have to merge them, you have to put all that.
We're mandated, we have a mandate in Harris County, depends on the county that you're in. We're only allowed to charge 20 cents a page, but for some reason, they triple it. They told me to triple it. I don't exactly understand why, but I just did what I was told to do. So it's like 60 cents a page, but you get to charge for all those pages that you're doing, all that, but you don't get to charge hourly unless if it's the state, because I'm in county court, so if it's the state ordering, it's a mandated page rate. If it's the defense ordering, it's way more. So I always hope the defense orders, then the state pays the copy fee. So that it is more. And I charge on the exhibits, I do everything, and I don't know about y'all, but I don't send anything in paper form. Everything is electronic, so when they give me the documents, I ask for everything to be on a thumb drive or on a CD, because I don't want paper. Yeah, PDF, and I don't want paper.
Well, that's Zoom now.
Yeah, true. It's just, I need them to bring them to me. They send a
What about the
courier,
video?
send it by courier on a CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my judge ordered for them to
That's
do.
what I have one for this,
Yeah.
for this trial we're doing on Monday. You know, she's like, well, I sent it, and I'm like, I have been able to get to the office, I just
Yeah.
haven't done it.
Yeah. I haven't,
Maybe
my
that-
judge has them send it, and they have to send it by courier or bring it to my office on a CD. It has to be all marked, all the exhibits must be marked, pre-marked. And then, that way everything's done, because I don't want to take the chance of marking something incorrectly.
Right.
But then it's electronic, and all I have to do is electronically give it to the Court of Appeals. I can just do everything electronically if they've already pre-marked everything. So that way I don't have to do anything. So I told them before, like when I had one that had a lot of exhibits. And I told them, I said, I will charge you less money if you do all this for me, if you do all this legwork. If you put them all electronically, I'll only charge you hourly to do this stuff. And they did it,
Yeah.
because I said, it's gonna cost you a lot. And so they put it all on for me. It was all ready to go. And I went in and checked to make sure the pages were all there on the electronic copy. And that's the way I sent it in. And it saved them a bundle. I charged them an hourly rate to do, like you said, bookmarking and all
Right,
that.
yeah.
Because that does take a lot of time.
Well, I was gonna
It
say,
does.
does it most of the time the firms already have a lot of stuff electronically, so they're just pulling it,
Exactly.
bookmarking it, and it's,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's less time for us.
Right. I try to make life easy.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I go on, and it's your record, so you want to send the invoice for that particular part of the record to the attorney, and get paid before you do anything. So, don't do anything until you get paid, when you're an official. It's
On your
different.
testimony.
I just get half of it up front.
Oh, man, I get the whole thing.
I usually
No,
get a
I
deposit or
get half
something,
of
but.
it and then the rest of it.
If it's
But
huge,
But we're talking, the cases in our court,
Mhm.
it's like 300 million.
yeah, you get the big stuff.
They're these rich people.
Yeah.
I'm like, where do they get their money?
Right, right.
It's like, oh, okay, not a problem, not a problem.
But mine are all kind of like under 100 pages typically, in county criminal. I mean, I think I had one that I had one that was like 3 days of a trial, and I think it would have been like 5,000, I think, by the time I was done with everything. The guy said he was indigent, and we declared him not indigent, so I
Oh, you
refused to
did?
do the record. Yeah, the judge they declared him not indigent, so I refused to do the record. And he was trying to pay me with the credit card, and I said, I told my judge, I said,
Don't take credit
I'm not
card.
taking a credit card from him, because he's saying he's indigent, and I'm not doing that, because then I'm gonna get stuck. And she said, no, don't. She said, you tell him you want cash. I said, yes, ma'am, Judge. And he wouldn't fork over the money, so I never did the trial. I never did it. And so, yeah.
It was pro se.
Pay me
They had-
first.
I don't know where
Yeah,
they
he
get
was
the
pro
cash.
se.
They got a lot of
He was
cash.
pro se, yeah.
And that, oh, I got this envelope, it's kind of thick, well, I think it
Yeah.
got money in it, and
Yeah.
about 20,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a new pair of shoes.
Right?
Like, yeah,
You want to
right.
show them the forms? Let's see.
So guys, we're going to go through a few of the forms that we have. I have the reporter's oath. Pam's going to pull it up. And it's your basic oath here. Okay, and I'll talk about it. So this is the one that my judge swore me in McLennan County. And no, this is the deputy court oath. I'm confused. This is the deputy reporter's oath. So when you have a deputy reporter subbing in your court, usually we have they're sworn in, because of course they are the official for that day. So that's just something that does anybody not have a reporter or a deputy sworn in their court? I know it's different in different counties. Some people may not, but usually if they're not doing it, you may want to ask them to get sworn in. Because if anything happens, if they weren't sworn in, you got a whole pickle there. That's the one, Pam.
Okay.
That's for the deputy court reporter.
Okay.
This is her signature, her number, and the presiding judge.
And the thing that I'm sending you, that big old zip file, is gonna have all of
that.
these forms in it.
Yeah.
You'll have all of this stuff.
And this is one we use in our court. This is the standard one, just our basic one. But they mostly look like this, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna show you Kathy's deputy reporter checklist. This is awesome.
That's so nice.
She has a checklist. Is it time?
And so,
It's time.
It's time.
already? Okay.
Is there anything you need to finish up?
Well, we can scan through this really quick, y'all, you guys. I'll go super fast. So, I have something here. Oh, let me skip to that one, Pam. Is that the,
That's your
deputy official?
checklist.
Yeah. So the deputy official reporter ending for the day, this is just a checklist. And if you have a new reporter that's subbing in your court, you really want them to do something akin to this, because you don't want them to miss anything. There was a horror story of a reporter in Dallas County that I was subbing in, and I heard this from the person that I was interning with. And she said that the reporter did not secure the evidence, and it was drugs. And she came in the next day, the drugs were on the floor. She came in, they were in the reporter station on the floor. And so, and she was a new reporter. It was just one of those things. So she didn't have a checklist. So it's just one of those things. So this is just a little, leave your business card, fill out the deputy reporter log, fill out the form also, to make sure that they do both. The exhibit receipts are incredibly important. Contraband, weapons, all of that is included. We used to have Dallas County has a small case in each court, and the reporter, I had been subbing it for quite a bit, so they gave me the key to where they knew I would be in trial, I would lock up evidence, and so, let me keep going here, because I'm getting a little caught up on stories again. So, the reporters are to leave their cards with the attorneys, to make sure that they can contact them if there's a request. In this reporter statement here, this is what we spoke about before, the deputy reporter statement. I don't know if you guys can see it from here, but she'll pull it up on the screen here. And it's just the information with the reporter's address, her CSR number, if she's with a firm, all that information is on there. Very important that they fill that out and leave that for each case. Very important. I don't think you have one of these too, do you?
I think so.
Yeah. So I think this
So
is.
will everybody be getting a copy of these forms?
Yes, I'm gonna send all these forms to you in that big zip file, and I have them listed just so you can see this really fast, so you know how to find them. I have them by Kathy. These are Kathy's forms that she uses, and then deputy reporter logs, transcript orders. I have them in folders under there, so you'll be able to easily find everything, and just the same thing as all those rules and everything. And this is the stuff that I gave out to the attendees, so you'll get all of this stuff.
Yeah, and I'll
This is
close
that
it out,
chart.
you guys. I'll close it out. I just wanted to go scan through it really quick. One more thing, the receipt of the exhibits. This right here to me is vital. I mean, because you're talking about, like I said before, weapons, contraband, just all kinds of things. And so Pam said, well, she has it here. So that is massively huge, the receipt of exhibits. So
That's super
anyway, I
important.
think we did pretty cover.
So you'll have all of this stuff. So, and if you have any questions, you can call either one of us. Do all of you have our phone numbers if you need us, or our emails? I'm willing to give you my phone number, 713-515-2583, 713-515-2583. And my email is csrpamcoder, CODER, @gmail.com. Do you want to give them theirs? It's up to you.
Yeah, so Kay McDaniel.
Just a minute.
Okay.
I'm still right.
We're
We're
fast.
printing this.
You're not doing it on your machine, yeah.
Kathy?
The letter K, then my last name McDaniel,
Oh,
and it's
is
336.
MC?
McDaniel. So the letter K, then McDaniel, then 336@gmail.com. 336.
Okay, McDaniel336@gmail.com.
Okay.
That's the way to reach
Can
us.
we have your phone number too?
Yeah, you can, 214, I'm sorry. I'm in a zone here. 434-7700. That's my cell. You can text me and call me.
Yeah, you can text me,
anytime you
call me,
want.
whatever.
So,
Thanks.
if I don't answer, I'm on the record,
Okay.
but if not, yeah, I will respond to you though.
I remember I was on vacation, and I'm going to take a week vacation and stayed on property. Well, it's only an hour drive from Waco, so I did a whole week
Uh-huh.
at the Washington Street thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had trial or not, I don't remember, but that was a long time ago. And I was like, hey, it only takes an hour to drive, you know, from here to there.
You come from Arlington, Texas?
Yeah, I live in Arlington, but our property is in San Gabriel,
Oh, okay.
close to Thorndale, Rockdale, Caddo. It's pretty neat. I'm like, wow. I hope after I retire, I hope I get to take depositions again because I don't think I'd want to do court. I love doing court now, but you know, just work when I feel like it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for
Thank
joining us
you.
for. I was like, wait, what was the title?
Hey, you're done. How easy was that, huh? Hopefully you had a great time and you learned something as well. Now remember to take your answers along with the answers on the other quiz sheets and enter them into the final quiz at the end of all the programs, and then follow the instructions to get your letter of completion. This is Jeff Justice from Jeff Justice Seminars saying, see you next time online.